Straight talk from Israel. You're listening to Israel News Talk Radio.
Rockets and deadly stars and comets. That's what we are going to be talking about today. Right now, I just have to read out the news headlines, and that is that red alert sirens went off in the southern region of Israel near Gaza. Those communities there today. Now, you can pick your version of what happened. According to the Negev Regional Council, they stated that 2 explosions were heard and that the rockets slammed into open areas. However, the IDF came out and said that the red alert sirens were a false alarm. So you can take your pick on who you want to believe. That's that for the rockets. And for the stars now, a lot bigger. The explosions and rockets are comets that could crash into Earth. We're going to be having a very intensive show today on Nibiru and Planet X. I want to cover that topic again. I did it once before with someone, but tonight we're going to be doing it with someone who made a film about it, and that is Rabbi Yuval Ovadia. For those of you who are into the Geula or the redemption and are on the Facebook page for I forget what it's called, something with Gul on it. You're going to want to hear this interview because Rabbi Yuval Ovadia is a very, very good speaker. He's an Israeli rabbi, which gives it a nice Israeli lilt or tilt to it as well. So that's going to be interesting. And you can join me in the chat room and you can write your questions there that you want asked to Rabbi Yuval Ovadia on this end of days type of theme. If you have any questions about the end of days, the Gula, the redemption, the Mashiach, the Messiah, then feel free to join me in the chat room and write your questions there. Give us your first name only. We don't need to know who you are. Just the first name's good and where you are listening in from. And talking about where people are listening in from. Let's see who's listening today. I don't know who you are, but I can see where you're listening from, which is really, really nice. Let's see. From all over the United States and Israel. The Netherlands. Hi there in the Netherlands. Argentina. Oh, hola in Argentina. Germany. France. Australia. Canada. It's so great to have all of you listening here to the show. Come into the chat room. It's the orange button on our website or on the player. So just click that, sign in, so you can write your questions there or your comments, and I'll be able to see them. All right, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. So this last year, there was a new movie put out called Planet X Nibiru, Gog and Magog, Amazing Revelations by Rabbi Yuval Ovadia. And we're going to be talking about that tonight. It's ironic, and sadly ironic, I should say, that we got rockets, apparent rockets on Israel today, but are we going to get something even worse that's going to affect the entire world? And that is these these comets that could be wreaking havoc on Earth. So our guest tonight is the filmmaker, Rabbi Yuval Ovadia, of this movie, this documentary. And let me just tell you a little bit about him. Rabbi Yuval Ovadia is a rabbi, lecturer, musician, and filmmaker at Visual 911. He was born in Tel Aviv, Israel in 1965. And after serving 3 years in the Israeli army, he flew to New York for a career in acting and filmmaking. He worked on action drama feature films and was just going to break out in a major film with co-star Wesley Snipes when, amazingly, during that time, he decided to return to his roots. He started studying Torah and kept the Shabbat, or the Sabbath in English, and he became Torah observant. He moved back to Israel in 1999, where he got married and started a family. Since this time, he has produced, written, and directed several docudramas, which he has distributed worldwide, and a lot of them are available on YouTube as well. In addition to filmmaking, Rabbi Yuval Ovadia also gives lectures both in Hebrew and English on filmmaking, Judaism in Modern Times, Spirituality versus Materialism, and, again, docudramas on the Geula, or the Redemption, the times of the Mashiach, the Messiah. Now, on this show today, we're going to be talking about the topic of his latest, one of his latest films, which is called Planet X Nibiru, Gog and Magog, Amazing Revelations. And if you have any comments or questions, you can join us in our chat room. It's the orange button on our website at IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com, and you can ask your questions there. So welcome to the show, Rabbi Yuval Ovadia.
Thank you. Hello to everybody here in Israel and abroad. I'm happy to be with you, and go ahead.
So you start out your movie that you made that's on YouTube for everybody to see. It's free. And you start talking about how the astronomers, NASA, the U.S. government, all knew about this star coming towards our solar system that could wreak havoc on Earth. And you quote even Judaic sources that talked about this, thousands of years ago. So where would you like to start?
Yeah, actually, regarding this movie, which is playing on YouTube and also many websites of different people, because usually I give away everything I do, so I don't have a track on everything. But as far as I know, it's already over 100,000 viewers worldwide. And the advantage of my lecture, comparing to other lectures in this topic of Planet X Nibiru, which is people have started talking about it the last few years. The advantage I have, which they don't have, is because I have some information from Judaism, which they don't have. So far, everything that's been talked about, the Planet X Nibiru, the whole, the whole nemesis there, it has many calls, many names. Everything was based about ancient cultures, the Sumerians and the modern astronomers who were following it with telescopes, or now they even see it with naked eyes. And, some people who have more or less scientific information regarding this solar system, which is approaching our planet. Now, what I've done is I used all the information which is out there, and I combined it with the information that we have in the Jewish Holy Scriptures. And especially, people didn't know it until now, we have it written in the Holy Zohar and the Midrashim, which is the oral Torah, not the written one, the oral law, which is not so known within the other nations, the non-Jews. And it's written there from 1,000 years ago, and actually the Holy Zohar says explicitly about a star, a planet, which will be discovered in the end of days, and as soon as the whole world will see it, then the Mashiach will be revealed. That's what the Zohar says. Plus, the Zohar says in Parashat Shmot, it says that this star is revolved with 7 different stars revolving it. This planet has 7 stars revolving it, and that's exactly what the people who talk about this subject, this topic, that's what they say. According to the scientists who are willing to talk about this topic, because not everybody likes to talk about this topic, because NASA gave the misleading information saying it's a conspiracy. But those who are willing to talk about it, they say that it's a hot red planet surrounded by 7 revolving stars. And that's exactly what the Zohar says 2,000 years ago.
So basically you're saying that NASA denied it, but now they are saying that they do see something out there?
Yeah, let me tell you about the NASA thing. NASA, first of all, is everybody knows is the national, the American space program. I mean, all the scientists in the world, all the space programs, all the science museum in the world, they take their information from NASA. NASA is the last kosher stamp of everything regarding to science. You understand? It's like the Torah for the Jewish people. You understand? If it's written in the Torah or not. If any scientific revelation written in NASA, so they take it literally as a real thing. Mm-hmm. If not, then all the scientists, or most of the scientists in the world, they don't take it seriously. Now, we have to remember that NASA is a governmental office. It belongs to the American government. It's not an independent office. And sometimes the government hide things. Not always they say things. They don't always tell the public everything. Like, for example, in Israel, for 10, 20 years, people say that Israel has a nuclear ability. And the government denied everything until you have the spy Vanunu and, and there are more evidence. But the first 20, 30 years, they denied it. Sometimes government deny things because they have their own interest, maybe to prevent panic, maybe to keep their, it's like a secret,
So tell our listeners why the government would want to keep this quiet and not let the public know.
All right. First of all, NASA themselves declared about this planet, and they call it Planet X, about 40, 50 years ago. And it's been published in all the mainstream media at that time. But right after that, they backed off, and they said it's a conspiracy, and they took it off their website, and everybody who grew upon NASA's information the last 40 years, they know it's a conspiracy, and it's nothing, it's bullshit. And so therefore, if you ask any scientist in the age of 50, let's say 60, which most of his life he was fed by NASA. So in his point of view, this whole thing with Planet X Nibiru, it's a conspiracy. That's how they made it this way. Now, why did they make it a conspiracy? Why did they blind the public? From two reasons. First of all, they realized it's not just a planet, it's a whole solar system. As I mentioned before, it's a red, hot planet, like a small sun, in other words, surrounded by 7 stars revolving it. And this whole solar system, mini solar system, is approaching our solar system they've been following it for the last 40, 50 years with their special telescopes. Now, they know, according to ancient cultures, this solar system or this planet is coming once in thousands of years or once in hundreds of years. Nobody knows exactly. But they made a calculation of the orbit of this planet, and I realized that sooner or later, in a certain time, it's supposed to pass close to Earth. Of course, it's not going to hit Earth. God forbid. Some people made these presumptions that it's going to hit Earth, but that's wrong. And sometimes NASA themselves and those people who want to hide this information, they put on the air, on the media, something that you call it disinformation.
Okay, let me just stop you there for a moment because we're coming to a break. But basically, if I understand what you're saying that the orbit around our sun is so wide that it took until it came back around again near Earth, that it took all these thousands of years to come back. Yes or no?
Exactly.
Okay. When we get back, we're going to talk more about this. Don't go anywhere. And if you have any questions, join us in the chat room. You can write your questions there, and I can read them out to the rabbi. We'll be right back. All right, we're back here at the Tamar Yona Show on Israel News Talk Radio. And we're talking about Planet X and Nibiru and the dangers and that it's believed to be coming in the times of the Messiah. And I want to ask you, Rabbi, is this damage that the star is supposed to cause Earth? And we don't know how much it'll be. I believe on your video you said it depends. If people are good, then we don't have to have much damage. And if people really need a lot of fixing, there could be an awful lot of damage from perhaps some of the debris, the comets that are trailing after this big star or this dwarf star. And but I want to ask you, is this supposed to come before the Messiah comes or after the Messiah comes, according to your sources?
All right. First of all, regarding the natural disasters, already for the last 10, 20 years, you can see all the graphs. There are many graphs that shows that the scale is going high. There's a huge increase in earthquakes, in volcanoes, in crazy weather, extreme weather, so and meteors also. These are facts, and not even connected to the Planet X issue. In fact, it's a scientific fact that is happening in our world for the last 10, 20 years. Now, if you listen to my lectures, usually I always mention, as a religious person, that everything is on the hand of God, of the Almighty. Whether there is a planet or not a planet, whether there's a psychic who wants to destroy the world or not, it's all in the hands of God. So it's not a main crucial issue for me whether the Planet X exists or not. I mean, the reason I talk about it because I'm a person who likes to stick to the truth. I checked the facts over and over. It's a real fact. Plus, it shows in our holy scriptures, the holy Jewish scriptures, we have a lot of prophecies and all came true. Now, but other than that, it's not a big issue for me whether this planet is real or not, because no matter whatever's supposed to happen, it's because of God, Hashem, the Almighty. He's just using the Planet X, Nibiru, or any earthquake or any natural disaster in order to do whatever he decided to do. Whether he wants to extend, Chas v'Shalom, God forbid, half of the world, or 10% of the world, or 90% of the world, God forbid, he would do it whether there is Planet X or not. He doesn't need the Planet X. The only reason is in our Jewish culture we learn that God is usually working with the nature. He's using the nature in order to show out, to put out his judgment, or on the contrary, his miracles. For example, in Tractate Brachot, in the Talmud, in the Jewish Talmud, Tractate Brachot, it was written about 1800 years ago. Our sages mentioned that how God made the flood, the Noah flood. He moved 2 planets in Pleiades constellation. The question is, why do we need to know how God made the flood? That he moved 2 planets in Pleiades constellation, which is it's very far. It's out of our solar system. Another question: did those people who were in the flood, who died in the flood, all those people, millions of them, the whole world actually, did they see that God moved 2 planets? Did they see anything beyond their solar system? No. So why do our sages tell us this thing? Why do we care? A few thousand years after the flood, how did God make the flood? He moved 2 stars in constellation Pleiades. The answer is that we should know that God is using the nature usually to do his judgment or miracles. He's trying as much as possible not to hide behind the nature. That's why in Hebrew, Elokim it's numerical equally to the nature, Hateva. Elokim, it's equal to Hateva.
In Gematria, right, yeah.
Yeah. So because he's hiding behind the nature. That's why he's doing it, because so that we would have a freedom of choice, and we would have always the option to deny him and to say, oh, there is not God. God forbid. He gives us the option for that. Therefore, we always hide behind the nature. There was only one time in the history, in human history, that God made things above nature, real open miracles. This was in the Exodus from Egypt.
The Exodus, right.
Yeah.
Let me just...
let me just finish. Our sages say that the same will be only in gog-u-magog. Gog-u-magog, that's when all the nations, or most of the nations, will come on a war against Jerusalem, and there, that's Ezekiel 36, and then God will vanish them miraculously. That would be out of the nature. I mean, it will be like open miracles. But other than that, is usually using the nature to do these things. Now, if you ask me about the danger of how much damage will we have, it's in the hands of God. And according to the Jewish sages, the Jewish people, that's why we were chosen for. We are chosen for to be a better people, to pray more, to be more spiritual, to do good things. We actually pray even for the non-Jews. We are the only nation in the world who every day we pray 3 times for the peaceful and prosperity of other nations. There is no any other nation such as this, like that, that's doing things, because it's our responsibility. That's what we are chosen for. We're not chosen people that we get extra money or we get extra stuff. We are chosen for to lead the world in being a better human being. And that's how we were supposed actually to be a light to the nations. Unfortunately, not all Jews are doing that, but that's our mission, more or less. And the more we stick to our mission, the more prosperity comes to the whole world, and the more we prevent natural disasters, not only upon Jews, but upon every creature in the world. So that's what I'm saying in my lecture. It's our responsibility. You ask me, what is the expected damage from this constellation, Nibiru constellation? I don't know. And even those people who talk about it, and the internet is full of millions of videos and stories and lectures. Whatever people say is just a presumption. Nobody knows exactly what's going to be and how it's going to be. Not even NASA. And in the end of in the bottom of the line, it all depends in our good or bad deeds. That's it. That's how it was in Nineveh. When God said Yona to Nineveh, he told them in 40 days, Nineveh is going to be upside down, going to be destroyed completely. Eventually, did anything happen in Nineveh?
No.
So it shows you that sometimes God can change his mind according to the people's behavior. So when people say, people talk about the end of days or Armageddon or Planet X and nothing happened, it doesn't mean anything. God sometimes can hold his breath. He can pull things. He can wait with things. He has all the patience in the world. His intention is not to destroy the world, Chas v'Shalom.
Okay.
His intention is to have prosperity to everybody, but at a certain point, he must put an end to the corruption, to all the bad habits that we got into our world, which was much purer before that. And if we want to get ourselves ready to the Mashiach time, people don't understand, but Mashiach time, it means spiritual time, not so much lusts and so much desires and so much material world. Mashiach time is a spiritual world. So God is waiting for people to adjust themselves and to be ready for Mashiach time.
Okay, let me now just give a little bit of a summary of what you've said. So basically what you're saying is that this star was mentioned, this dwarf star was mentioned in the Zohar thousands of years ago, and it has a very large rotation around our sun, and that's why it hasn't been seen, because it went way out past Pluto and it came on its way back, and not that the star is going to make a collision with Earth, but that the comets and the space debris that are trailing with this dwarf star could wreak havoc on Earth, and that the presence of this star, it has some type of magnetic pull on Earth, similar to what the moon has when it affects the tide in the ocean, and that this is what we're seeing with the apparent change in weather that we're seeing with sudden floods and earthquakes, volcano eruptions, etc., that are going on that seem to be more prevalent today. And all this is happening in a natural way in order to give people the choice to believe or not to believe. Because if these were outright miracles, then people would not have a choice. They would have to concur that there is a God. We're in the end of days, and we all better do tshuva. We all better repent. Basically, do I have that right?
Yeah, in the bottom of the line of all this, it's all messengers of God, and whether there is Planet X or not, it's not the issue. The issue, there is God who's pulling a trigger here and is shaking our world for the last 10, 20 years, and it's happening. It's happening. It doesn't matter it's a God, it's a planet or not a planet, but it's happening. I give you just a short example.
Well, we only have a few seconds left. We'll have to wait till the next segment. Again, we're speaking with Rabbi Yuval Ovadia. If you have any comments or questions, you can come into the chat room and write them clearly there for me, and I will be happy to read them out to the rabbi as time permits. Right. And Rabbi Ovadia, just to clear up, again on the question, I just want to make sure again, the Messiah. When the Messiah is supposed to come, it's before Nibiru or after Nibiru?
Yeah, according to the Zohar, the same time as everybody will see a big fire in the sky, which is, by the way, some people see it already, and it's probably because of the effect of the Nibiru being close to the sun. And when they see the big planet, a new planet in the sky, the whole world, right at that time, the Mashiach will be revealed. But it could be before, could be later. As I said before, we're not locked to the information. But eventually, that's the Zohar says, the Mashiach will be revealed in the Galilee land. And that's if you're asking me if what's going to be before what, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Everything is possible.
And what about Gog and Magog?
All right, gog-u-magog, people mistakenly... they only take Gog-u-magog as the end of days event, but they're wrong, because the end of days event, it doesn't have to be just one Gog-u-magog war. The end of days event is actually, we are already in the end of days events. According to the Talmud and the Jewish sages, we're already the last 100 years in the events of the end of days. And they gave a lot of signs what are the end of days. Gog-u-magog is just the finishing of the end of days process. It's the ending, for example, in other words. According to what I know from the Zohar and the Maimonides and all those things that I've made a very deep research, it doesn't have to be this way, but most likely what's going to be is, first of all, we're going to have this Planet X, Nibiru, coming up on Earth. Some damage will be out there. The Mashiach will be revealed. He will take over Israel. And then after a while, I don't know, maybe a few months, a few years, I don't know what, the nations of the world will come on a war against the Mashiach and against the state, not the state. It's not going to be the state of Israel as we know it now. And they will come against the Mashiach, who will be already leading in Israel. And that will be Gog-u-magog. Gog-u-magog, it's the nation of the world coming on a war against the Mashiach. It's nothing to do with Planet X. Planet X, the whole issue of the world natural disasters, it's written in the Isaiah, in many books, that the earth will be shaking and the buildings are falling apart. It's nothing to do with Gog-u-magog. Gog-u-magog is happening around Jerusalem. We are talking now about a worldwide disaster. Now, how much disaster? We don't know. Even actually the Zohar itself, the Holy Zohar doesn't say it's going to be a big disaster from this planet. It says a few buildings will fall and a few damage will be, but it doesn't talk about a world disaster, actually. So it doesn't have to be something so catastrophic as the people who talk about this planet, that's what they say. So we don't know. That's what I say all the time. We don't know exactly how much damage would be, but the planet is there. It will come. The Mashiach will be revealed in time. Later on is Gog-u-magog. Gog-u-magog is around Jerusalem. It's something else completely.
Okay, so natural disasters, you're saying those that we're seeing today, you believe are because of the Nibiru and the magnetic pull?
That's definitely it is. And even if it's not, it's because of God. As I said before, there's somebody above this planet. This planet is just a tool. So whether God used the planet X, no, he can use another planet. He has billions of planets out there. What does it matter?
Okay.
It's not limited. But eventually, the facts are that if you take 20 years ago, for example, there were about 35 volcanoes yearly. Volcanic eruptions yearly, about 20 years ago. Nowadays, I don't know if you know that, it's a fact, every day there's more than 40 volcano eruptions in this globe. Every day, every single day. These are things that never been before. And not to mention about the earthquakes, not to mention about all the floods and catastrophic that never been before. The records are being broken every year.